Hi guys, this is Tira with Thousand Spotlights Experience, and today we are going to talk about something that is a little bit more targeted towards your young adults and your teens, even pre-teens watching out there, but I promise you it is beneficial to be reminded of no matter what age you are, no matter what level you're at. If you're a performer of any kind, it definitely always helps to be reminded of this. So what the topic is vocal parts. So that's talking about in terms of alto, soprano, mezzo-soprano, tenor, baritone, bass. A lot of kids will come to us, they'll audition for our shows or submit for Thousand Spotlights Experience, and we'll work with these kids, and they come in with a predetermined, and I say kids, but I'm talking about everybody from, I think the youngest that we've probably had talk about this and be, feel really passionate and serious about it was probably about 11 or 12. But all the way up through, 21, 22, 23. So they'll come in with this predetermination of what they already are, where they already fit. And a lot of this comes from, I hate to say it, but plenty of it does come from just what other teachers have told them. So maybe what their choir teacher has told them, or what their drama director at school has told them. And sometimes I think that they take the direction that their teacher is pointing them in a little bit too seriously. And sometimes I think that directors out there do push them too hard towards one thing. So obviously I understand how, in choir you're given a part to sing, but you have to understand that doesn't mean that's what you're limited to. So the voice is a muscle. You've heard me say that a million times. You'll hear me say that a million times again, because that's kind of what it always just comes back to, is that your voice is a muscle. So just helping, I'm thinking about that in terms of when you're trying to do anything with your voice, even when you're just thinking about the mechanics of it, or thinking about how to approach a particular song, or how to do, a certain kind of trick or anything with your voice. It always, always, always helps to remind yourself that the voice is a muscle. So just like any other muscle, you may start out, say you start out, you just go and you try to do some push-ups, and you can't do push-ups. So, and you can't do any push-ups at all. So you figure to yourself, but then when you pick it up and you can do bicep curls, and you can just do bicep curls for days and days and days and days, right? So then you think to yourself, okay, well, basically, I'm just in the bicep category. My biceps are really strong. I don't do push-ups. That's how that's how plenty of performers, plenty of singers approach vocal parts. They'll think, well, my alto is pretty strong. I feel comfortable singing these notes in this range, so I'm not a soprano. Not a soprano, not a belter, not a, I can't sing high at all. That's not true. I'm telling you, any preconceived notions about what your voice can and can't do, throw it out the window. Completely throw it away right now. It's just not true. Because that same person who goes and can't do any push-ups, well, what happens if they start disciplining themselves and they start a routine, and every single day they do a bunch of other exercises to further their, shoulder muscles and chest muscles in order to be able to do push-ups, and then they practice their push-ups every single day. What's going to happen? You're going to be able to do push-ups. May happen very slowly. Maybe one day you can do 1 push-up, and then a week later you can do 2, and then a week later you can do 3, and then a week later you can do 12. You just, you really don't know. But muscles work like that. You have to work them in order to strengthen them. You have to, train them, and you have to be serious about it, and you have to be steady about it. But the most important thing is the mindset. You cannot think that you are limited by notes. I mean, but that, especially at such a young age, by the time you're, a seasoned artist and you've come to really understand your voice and understand where you fit and understand where is the most comfortable for you and where it's stretching too high and where it's stretching too low and where you sound the best and where, your voice is the fullest and the richest. Of course, with time, you start to understand that. But that doesn't even come until your voice is fully developed. You won't even know what those areas are until you've been singing with your, adult, fully developed voice for enough time and just spent enough time with it to figure those things out. And even then, of course, you can always grow, But in order to find that sweet spot, in order to find where you actually fit, you're going to have to go through a whole process. You have to go through a lot more time than the hours that you spent in your school musical or the hours that you've spent in your choir, in your school choir, in your church choir, the hours that you spent in any, community show. You're going to have to spend a lot more time than that, and you're going to have to let your body develop. Take, any sport, for example. Would any athlete take their, time on a specific race as a 12-year-old or as a 13-year-old and cap it and say that that's where they are and that's where they fit and that's where they're going to stay? No, not at all. Because if they continue their training, your time is only going to get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. Same exact thing. If you continue your training with your voice, continue getting to know your voice, continue exploring your voice, there's no telling, where you'll reach. Now, that's not to say that you're not limited in some way. In other words, take yoga, for example, all right? So everybody's body will not be able to do a full lotus, for example. So that's, when you have your knees crossed, like, cross-legged, but then you put your feet up on your legs, It is true that some people, their bodies were not created to be able to do that, because we each do have different, a different set of physical strengths and a different set of physical limitations. But the point is that, like I just said before, you don't even have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about where your limitations are, because you don't know that yet. You have no idea, no concept of that yet. And nothing is definite. Like I just said, yes, on one hand, that's kind of true, but on the other hand, it's not 100% true. You never know. You never know if you continue working at something, how long it might take you to stay at the same spot, and then all of a sudden you break through. You just never know. So that goes for anybody. Continue trying, continue reaching, continue growing. But the most important thing, like I was just saying before, is that it's in your head. So stop thinking that you're limited to anything. Stop thinking you are limited to a certain amount of notes. Stop thinking you are limited to a certain amount of styles. The best thing that you can possibly do for your voice is try everything. And of course, try everything healthily, try everything safely, Of course, you're not going to go around, screaming and or growling and trying to, hit low notes or going for screamo music without knowing the technique of that. Of course, you're not going to do that. But do not approach any song, approach any audition, approach any director. Don't approach anything thinking that you are limited to a vocal part. You are not. First of all, you're not limited in general. Second of all, you're certainly not limited to a vocal part. So yes, your alto may be weaker, and you may be stronger in your soprano. That doesn't mean you're not an alto. It doesn't mean you can't be an alto. The best of us and the best way to expand who we are as performers in general is by exploring every single area of your voice. And you can only do that by doing it and doing it and doing it. Continuing to learn, continuing to grow, continuing to take in new experiences. And do not be limited by the size. You are only limited by the size of your imagination. So don't make that size small. You're only limited by the size of your own goals. Don't make that a low goal. Don't limit yourself. So that's kind of a little tidbit on that. I feel like I could go on about this for hours, especially because so many of the kids who come in have this just mental block when it comes to can't and I can't do that. They see a certain note on paper, or they hear someone sing it. Oftentimes, if I'll demonstrate something for them, I want them to repeat it back to me, and they just say no. But the thing is that oftentimes they don't even have a concept of what the notes are and the difference of actual notes versus pitch. So something that I might sing, and then my sister might sing the same exact note, and they think it's much lower when she sings it, just because our, tones are different, pitches are different. But oftentimes, and even just the way that we're singing, falsetto versus belt versus a mix. Depending on how you sing it, you'll get a different reaction from these, especially young people, and they don't even truly have a full concept of the notes, of what qualifies them as an alto, of what that truly means, and I think part of it, and I'm not blaming you or anything, I'm just saying, be open, be a sponge, be just willing and ready to try anything, to soak in anything and everything that you possibly can, because I think that another reason for why they sort of want to do that is because, everybody wants a sense of, it almost gives you a little sense of, I don't know what the word is, maybe empowerment, or of, importance, because it's like almost makes it a little bit more business minded. It almost makes it like you can take it seriously in a different kind of way, and it's like, oh, I'm taking my art seriously, I'm taking my craft seriously. That means that this is where I fit, this is my strong suit, and I'm telling you, no. Just throw it all out. Have faith in yourself. Believe that you can do anything. Don't limit yourself. You are the only one who can limit your abilities. You are the only one who can limit your voice. Your voice is a muscle. As always, please, send us feedback, send us emails. Email us back about topics that you would like to hear about, you would like to hear any of us talk about. Just comments about your experiences. If any of you have had experience with any of being stuck in a vocal part, or with maybe a director trying to tell you that you belong in a certain vocal part, and you don't feel like that's necessarily true, or just anything, we'll make sure to get back to you. And thanks for watching today. Again, I'm Tira Gilbert with 1000 Spotlights Experience, and enjoy your week.